What up, though, y'all? It's Chris, and I gotta talk to you about this video I saw of a former trans man having a lot of regret about making said transition. And kudos to her because she wants to be a girl again. But not only that, kudos to her because I think it's very important to talk about things like this. We get so much propaganda from news and from movies and social media. We get so much propaganda of people being very encouraging of this, and they never talk about the downsides. All right, take care. They never talk about the downside of making a move like this, of mutilating your body, of taking hormones to do stuff to your body that it was never intended to do. And I think it's really important for people to share that. Now, I've seen people try to share this, and it's crazy because the rainbow community, which is supposed to be so supportive of people making said transition, they're supposed to be so supportive of people who are struggling with identity. But dare you be one of the people who tried this and you have regrets? They absolutely hate you for it. They are very cruel to people who go over there and have regrets. I've seen the personal attacks myself. But with that being the case, still, I'm starting to see a lot more people express regret for doing this. So she starts off by saying that she kind of wanted to do this a bit as a teenager. Her folks were not really supportive of it. When she became an adult, though, she wanted to do this and her parents couldn't stop her. Now, shout out to the parents because they shot this down. And this is so, it really hammers home how important dads are in homes, because the dad was like, I'm not feeling this. I'm not supporting this. I'm not giving this any energy whatsoever. And the mom is walking lockstep with the dad like, nah, I'm not feeling this either. And she mentions that. She said she was so worried about people affirming this and that. And her family, it wasn't just her parents actually, her family was not feeling that. They were not doing any sort of affirming. They were not doing the pronoun stuff. And she mentioned how that was rough. But honestly, that was probably the best thing that could have happened to her, is that her family did not feed into this delusion. Because if they would have been feeding into this delusion, I don't think she ever would have came to the conclusion that she made a mistake and probably should walk this back. But long story short, her family was not supportive of this. She had some sort of community that she'd go to. You know, you find holes in social media and Reddit boards or whatever of like-minded people that are also kind of delusional. You find a group of outcasts, and because you're all outcasts, you kind of trauma bond over it, if you will. She had that, but that wasn't enough. She wanted people to affirm her in real life, and the people who she needed it from most were her family, and they wouldn't do it. She also mentioned, and I thought this was interesting enough because I've never really heard anybody say this, but she also mentioned how, due to her being a neurotic person, she was so hyper focused on being affirmed, like her pronouns being gotten right. And I'm like, you don't have to worry about that if you just be what you were born as. I've never been referred to anything as being a male, and I'm okay with that. There's no confusion about it. This whole thing with obsessing over your pronouns being honored or affirmed or whatever, that's never been anything I've ever had to worry about in my life. And so I didn't think that actually would be a thing until I hear her talking about it. So basically, after a while, she started to have regrets, believing that she made the wrong choice, not only because Her family was not supportive of it. But there started to be like feelings of jealousy seeing other girls that were being feminine and enjoying being a woman. Now she's transitioned back. Her voice sounds a bit weird, but you can tell she's doing her best to soften up again. Her voice is weird because, testosterone doesn't do any favors for women. If you are a young woman and you're taking a ton of testosterone to try to mimic the levels of a man, that is going to do a ton of damage to your body. You're going to get hair in places that you were never supposed to have hair. You're going to get a voice that you were never supposed to have. And some of them go even far or even further than that by getting the top surgery. I can't remember if she said she had got the top surgery, but there was another young lady who did get the top surgery, and she was talking about how now her struggle is every day passing as a girl, and she is one. I have empathy for these people because they made mistakes. I'm not an ogre. I'm not a cruel person. I have empathy for these people because they truly made mistakes. And they likely had people around them that were telling them that they were making a mistake. But people on the internet and at their school and whatnot who didn't have their best interests at heart or in mind were telling them to do this stuff and to ignore your family. Your family doesn't understand. Your family doesn't love you. Your family will never give you all that. And they kind of had their ear more than their family did. Oftentimes, they're listening to people who really don't have any investment in them way more than the people who do. And that's kind of where this sort of thing comes from. You have people in your life that are there to keep you grounded, but they can only keep you grounded if you're willing to listen to reason. And if you're more interested in what an echo chamber of randos who you don't know have to say, if you're more interested in their advice over people who have known you all your life and are like, nah, you shouldn't do this, you're gonna end up regretting it. That's what typically ends up happening. You end up regretting it. The whole thing of trying to pass as a woman when she is one, that was deep, man. I mean, this is a struggle that's self-imposed. So a lot of people won't have sympathy for it. But in this case, I do. She was talking about how she misses her breasts. And now how it's at the point to where if she wants to have breasts again, to have that feminine shape, her only option is to get surgery and have fake ones in. And she really doesn't want to do that because of the complications that she heard that happens with that. So, man, I really hope that people like this who were brave enough to come forward and talk about their experience from transitioning and how they went through this regret phase. They went through a phase of uncertainty and they tried to ignore it. And then it ends up at some point being full-on regret. I really hope that more people like this speak up because perhaps they can save somebody else from going through the same thing. It won't be easy because in a lot of cases, from what I've seen, the people that have made their mind up that this is something that they're going to do, they're pretty headstrong about doing it. And they've had people in their lives that have tried to talk them down from it, and they won't hear any of it.
I don't know. I could drink like a fish on vacation, but
I guess I'll leave it there, though, you guys. It's getting a little bit rowdy around here. Hit me with a like if you like what I do. Hit me with a sub if you like what I do. And hit me in them comments. I'm holla at y'all. Peace.